hell are we? Give me an external shot. I will not freak out. I will not freak out. I will not freak out. I will absolutely not freak out.
I've got good news and bad news.
Okay, give me the good news.
Good news is, Commander, I do not see Saturn, boss.
All right. What's the bad news?
The bad is, this is a ring planet, but it is not Saturn.
What the hell?
Get upset on the internet.
Gambot Jr., how's the experiment coming?
Looking good, Commander.
And the vital signs?
Excellent, boss. And the smell has been reduced by 100%.
And the extra stuff?
Oh, the horrible eyes and teeth, Commander? All eliminated.
Okay, that's something. And how about Margot?
She's coming back online shortly.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Retro Station 1989. I'm Commander Dan, commander and lone inhabitant of the Retro Station. And this is License to Play. Gee, you might notice, actually, there's a little bit of a down energy here. We're in a bit of a pickle. Gambot, show them the exterior shot, please. So, see that shot? That's not Earth. That's not even friggin' Saturn. Oh my god. Gambot.
Yes, boss.
It's not Earth. It's not Saturn. Leaving us kind of, what's the word I'm looking for here, Gambot Jr.?
Boned, Commander?
Boned. Exactly right. Look, this is License to Play, where we review licensed titles for retro game systems based on movies, TV shows, comic book characters, food mascots, cereal mascots, talking about fast food. And if it was licensed and they made a game about it, we play it. And we're going to get into that, but first...
He said butt first. Yeah, he said butt. Nope. We already got dinged for that once, fellas. No, today we begin with a book that I was completely enthralled by. It takes place in a tropical setting with humans facing off dangerous, unreal predators. Moreover, it has Bruce Campbell. Congo, Michael Crichton's tale of adventure and talking apes. For all his late-in-life dipshittery on environmental issues and refusing to acknowledge climate change, Michael Crichton was incredible at being a bit of a futurist. But that's not the license we're discussing today. MMOs and the dangers of subsuming our identities with online avatars? Westworld. Global pandemics? The Andromeda Strain. UFOs being acknowledged by the government? Sphere. Genetic capability in restoring extinct creatures? Corporations taking an unhealthy interest in weaponizing science? And also that science going out of control? Well, he talked about that too. All of this before 1999. That's right, we're actually talking about the one and only Jurassic Park. Michael Crichton, author. Dude was all about discussing cutting edge and beyond that edge technology into futurism, and presenting the dangers as well as the wonders of future science. His books were paeans to the power of human ingenuity and tinged more often than not with horror at what science could wreak on all of us. Like Elon Musk without getting high all the time or electric cars. Warning. The following segment contains politics. Because people throw huge sensitive nipple sessions over politics and gaming, I wanted to warn them in their areolae that we're going to point out the point of view of a very politically bent author, and we may not agree with them. So, please, get your Jergens, lube up your tender nipple buds, and prepare to have the most rigorous sensitive nip sesh your chest pods have ever had. Because politics and video games is coming in 3, 2, 1... Michael Crichton is a Harvard graduate. His first published work was a critique of Slaughterhouse-Five by Kurt Vonnegut, which he wrote for conservative publication The New Republic. Published by elitist goons who would hire Harvard grads to tear down radical thought and pop culture. Even the retrospective on Crichton's review of Vonnegut's work denigrates sci-fi as a genre, describing it as inept. So, Michael Crichton's career of science fiction? Well, in the opinion of The New Republic, because he was part of a conservative anti-environmentalist movement and part of the conservative elite, before conservative meant something else? Well, his version of science fiction was based on something good towards them, because his work trotted out the party lines of the wealthy class dominating the conservative movement. Andromeda Strain. The government fails to contain a virus, but private industry intervenes and wins the day. AKA, the government is unable to do anything right. Airframe. Airline crashes aren't the manufacturer's fault, but a series of mishandled maintenance tasks and a failure of government oversight to catch problems. Government oversight causes problems, it doesn't prevent them. Not all of his work carry these underpinnings, of course, but look, without remarking on this, I'm not giving you, viewer, the whole picture of the guy. With all that said about his political views, remember, the dude went to psychics, gurus, spiritual leaders because he was very intelligent and didn't fit in. He was a complicated dude. A dude who created one of my favorite franchises of all time, Jurassic Park.
Okay, Cambot Jr., experiment status.
Boss, it's awake.
Hi, everybody.
It is alive. And so is Margot. Friggin' sweet.
Commander, alert. We have a serious problem.
Oh, you got that right. Man, Margot, am I glad to hear from you.
Query. Why is that thing...
Alive?
Precisely.
Well, the fact is, Splat in his original form was, frankly, disgusting and terrifying and off-putting. Gross as hell. Monstrous, even. But now he's,
Cute.
hell no! I was gonna say, acceptable. Jesus. Now, look, we got a problem, no? I mean, something other than this little meatball?
Actually, I was based on a rectal polyp.
Enough! Please, thank you. Margot?
This will take some time to explain, Commander. In private.
Fine. You watch this, and we'll be right back.
Jurassic Park. The 1990 book, written by our buddy Michael Crichton, was a bestseller, and is Crichton's most popular and best-known novel. The book started as a screenplay he wrote during the years after The Terminal Man, and since he loved working in film, he thought the screenplay, about a scientist who brings a dinosaur to life through cloning, would be entertaining. But then, he thought the idea through, and as a futurist and a storyteller, he expanded it to a novel. Folks, as a writer, the thought of an idea persisting from screenplay to novel to screenplay again is really close to me. It hits me close to home really, really hard. And despite my disagreement with most of his political views, that kind of thing gives me hope for humanity. Home truths, that creativity is pervasive and weird, and that it's the same for everybody. That links everybody. You know, that's a good thing. And we can also blend why people say things and why people do things into their creativity. Maybe we can start learning about each other a little bit better. Well, anyway, the book was a runaway hit. And here's why its author's futurism and intellectual and classist elitism met with Hollywood. Because he found a guy who really loved Crichton's thoughts on tech, but not his politics. Steven Spielberg. We all know Steve. He made Jaws, which is the second game I ever reviewed. Check it out if you get a chance. If you'd have been subscribed, you'd have already known about that review. Steven Spielberg was part of the New Hollywood, a very unconservative movement that included guys like Francis Ford Coppola, Martin Scorsese, Ralph Bakshi, and a little unknown indie director. You may not know him, he's pretty underground. You know, you may not never heard of him. A guy named George Star Trek. Please give to this web zone if you want to know about more about George Star Trek and the Star Trek movies about George Lucas. Thank you. Anyway, in the 90s, George Lucas's ILM and Spielberg and Stan Winston and the budding Pixar labs were looking for something to show off their skills with. To show off what they've been working on since basically Return of the Jedi and since Hook was a good fan favorite movie. The critics crapped on it, but it featured mostly optical and analog effects. Steven Spielberg wanted to work on something that had more visual style and flair. George Lucas's business model was licensing tech and inventing things Hollywood could not live without, and creating reasons for him to use them was also a stock in trade. Take the first Star Wars flick. Color keying was known in television, like for weathermen and shit, but optical keying and steady motion film was hardly ever used. They thought it looked hokey or just bad. Then, Dijkstraflex was created in-house at ILM. 3D vector animation for computers was pioneered by ILM, then the graphics group, for use in film, and is featured in the third act of A New Hope as they showed off the plans for the Death Star. While it's been used on the small screen and outside of labs wasn't really known, they pushed for it. They pushed the edge of tech, but they were these liberal guys. They're these really like wide open, non-conservative dudes. Oh, and then we get Dijksterflex, computer animation, Go Motion. That was basically how they animated the AT-ATs in Empire, and the any of the miniature work was done with Go Motion, which was translated into the computer by Pixar, another group that George invented. So they knew how to get the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park animated, and how the cameras could capture creatures from real life that no longer exist. The movie didn't use THX sound because theaters wouldn't pay to have THX installed to replace their already very expensive DTS machines or their Dolby sound systems. Thanks, by the way, to Joe from GameSack for that info. Which brings me finally to the movie. A perfect storm, also effects by ILM if you want to know the truth, of directors, engineers, and writers came together to bring a movie that's just as entertaining today as it was the Friday afternoon I used my senior skip day to watch.
So, Margot, what you told me is true? All of that?
Yes, Commander.
Okay. Let me get back to the review while I process all this. Jeez.
I know, that's pretty heavy, dude.
Oh, crap crackers! How long have you been there, listening, Splat?
You said it was personal, and I'm your best friend.
Oh, you must be high. Higher than a giraffe's asshole. High on drugs.
Winners don't do drugs, buddy. You know that.
Okay, so Jurassic Park. Let me be real here. It's hard to write anything about Jurassic Park the movie that you probably never heard before, because the majority of the people who saw the movie loved it. Especially people in the under 10 crowd who love dinosaurs. So, I'm going to go over the basic premise of the film and then talk about something I find more interesting. Jurassic Park is about a genius mathematician, Ian Malcolm, explaining to a short-sighted billionaire con man that he's not cloning extinct species, he's creating mutant monster creatures that look like dinosaurs, and they won't be contained. Ian is tragically wounded when he rescues children from a T-Rex and ends up shirtless for a disturbing amount of the flick, or an enticing amount, depending on what your desire for shirtless hero genius badasses is, who are hairy-chested dudes. The rest of the movie is him being right, and so is the sequel, The Lost World. But seriously, the flick is about John Hammond, founder of InGen, who Crichton called the dark side of Walt Disney. Though in my opinion, John Hammond is just a modern version of P.T. Barnum, but with dinos instead of jumbo elephants. And he's in trouble. In the book, folks in Costa Rica are getting chomped by critters they can't identify. They call in Ellie Sattler and Alan Grant in to identify them. In the flick, it's the velociraptors mutilating a dino handler and the investors in Jurassic Park, who are the primary antagonists in most of the flicks following, in my opinion, are very nervous. So, they send a lawyer in to inform Hammond that the park needs to be inspected by experts, so Hammond, in the movie, gets Ellie Sattler and Alan Grant to take a look. And so, Gennaro brings in the hero of the piece, Ian Malcolm, a genius mathematician and chaos theorist. At that time, chaos theory was bleeding-edge science. In the book, more so. And he's there to basically balance out the enthusiastic paleontologists and paleobiologists with a guy he believes is rational and not on anyone's side. So, these folks go on a tour of Jurassic Park. Hammond, optimistic boob job that he is, invites his 2 grandchildren to take the tour with them to prove how safe everything is. See, John is an optimistic turd. He's dumb, but not heartless. So when Ian Malcolm, hero genius and correct-thinking human, is proved right, of course, he sends out for rescue immediately. Good dude. Their adventures go throughout Jurassic Park. Basically, everyone who's in the top billing survives, in both of the kids. And in the book, that's not exactly what happens. The hero of the story dies. Yep, Ian Malcolm is killed. But in the movie, it works, and the movie was a blockbuster. The story is the adventure of everyone. Ellie, Dr. Grant, Ian and the kids, and everyone experiencing Jurassic Park Unleashed. And you want to talk popular? It was nominated for a Grammy, a Bram Stoker Award, and won 3 Oscars for sound effects, sound, and visual effects. The MTV Goon Squad shunned the Velociraptors for Best Villain. And the Oscar thing clearly seemed to piss Steven Spielberg off because he wasn't nominated for Best Director or Best Picture. The flick made $1 billion in the time that was a lot of money for a movie to make. So, Steven went on to make 2 of the greatest films of all time, Schindler's List and Saving Private Ryan, and showed those snobby pricks at MTV what making movies is all about, and probably put it in the face of the Oscar bastards as well. Anyway, the film's license was insane. Take a look at some of the things Jurassic Park lent its name to during its run in theaters. T-shirts, I own 3 different ones. Posters, toys, toothbrushes, vibrators, bop bags, Power Wheels. God damn, this thing had everything. Including video games.
So, faithful viewers, it has come to my attention as commander of the Retro Station and its lone inhabitant that I have been misled, lied to. In fact, what you see here is not the Retro Station. It's something else, isn't it? That's right. Nod your head, because it's right. Okay, go ahead and show them, Margot.
Commander,
This is the Retro Station. It's a multimodal, phase-inducted, hologrammatic living environment. Made specially for me. Ain't that sweet? What is that again, Margot?
it's a hologram. Meant to make you feel at home, Commander.
Yeah. But this version's not the real version either, is it, Margot? No.
No, Commander. It is per your specifications. It is the interior of the fictional craft, the Millennium Falcon.
You're damn right. But, alright, just to clarify, I can make the interior of the Retro Station whatever I want, right? It can be anything. Anything at all.
Yes, Commander. With some limitations. I'm sorry for the deception. The overlords, your sponsors, they felt you would be more comfortable in a man cave.
Well, that's over as of now. And our position in space, where are we?
I'm working on that, Commander. I'll have more information in a matter of minutes.
Well done. Perfect. You know, this is actually pretty great. Margot,
Commander,
please change the interior to my earlier request. Thank you.
aye, Commander.
Excellent. Today, we're going to talk about one of my favorite movies of all time. And my top 5, definitely, maybe top of my top 10. Today, we're going to be talking about games specifically based on, well, Jurassic Park. And I've got a bunch of them. Check them out. Ugh. We're going to talk about all these, all right? Check them out. So, let's begin.
Welcome to the Jurassic Park review. I like doing that. Alright, we're going to review the license to play for 4 of the games released around the movie's release for the SNES, NES, and Genesis. However, first let's talk about one of the games that gets little coverage when talking about Jurassic Park video games. Jurassic Park on the Sega Master System. The game was released in the UK and Brazil, where the Master System was going strong until the early 2000s, and is basically a one-to-one port of the Game Gear version. It's a side-scroller adventure, pictured here with footage from World of Longplace, because I couldn't get a copy of this game in a power-based converter in time for the review, but the game plays a lot like the Jurassic Park 2 game for SNES, side-scrolling Grant against dinos. It isn't a long game, but you know, it is a good game, actually. So, it's Grant versus the dinos in the park. But again, take a look at this game, and if you have like a power-based converter or a Sega Master System, try and pick it up. I think it's relatively cheap. I haven't looked into the pricing. So we're starting with Jurassic Park on the NES. Jurassic Park, as a license, had developers plenty for PC, Amiga, NES, Game Boy, Genesis, Master System, Game Gear, Sega CD, and the arcade. Twice. Whew. The team at Ocean were no strangers to licensed properties as video games. They created the SNES and NES versions and the DOS and Amiga versions, available for holiday 1993 right after the movie came out. The NES version and SNES versions play very much the same way. You are Alan Grant, and you're tasked with finding Lex and Tim and then escaping Jurassic Park. It is a straightforward actioner. You run around, gather eggs to get the passkey to unlock the doors, use the various weapons you run across to defeat different dinos, and you only get one weapon, so it's pretty fun that way. It plays very much like a game most people really like, Zombie Ate My Neighbors. The view and maps are similar, but notably these games all share DNA with the Chaos Engine games by the Bitmap brothers, who worked for Ocean prior to their breakthrough titles for Amiga. So the NES Jurassic Park version consists of 6 levels: the Triceratops Stampede, the T-Rex Confrontation, Restore Computer Power, the Raptor Nests, and Radio the Mainland. Think of this as a what-if or Elseworlds version of the story we see in the movie, and you'll get the idea. So the first level begins with Grant running around near the entrance to the park, and you're warned that the electrical grid is down, and the fences are no good. That's in the manual. First level, you're gassing compies and dodging Dilophosaurs while you collect eggs. You can get hints from the comms towers, and it lets you know that Tim is beyond the main gates, but only one of the gates you can open will be the correct one. Meaning, backtracking is going to be part of this experience sometimes. But that doesn't really hurt the game. There are surprises in the first control building, namely a Velociraptor, but a couple of shots and down it goes. Once in the gate, you rescue Tim, and the Triceratops stampede begins. You're going to have to dodge the stampede. Your weapons do nothing against the Triceratops. And also avoid ending up like Simba's daddy, because they will trample the crap out of you and Tim. And boom, that's level 1. Level 2. Tim tells you that Lex is hiding in the T-Rex enclosure, because his sister is a computer genius and also dumber than dog shit. So, gather the eggs, get the keycards to open the gate by crossing the Dilophosaur pen, and go save Lex from a giant fucking T-Rex. Get ready for a hell of a sight on the NES. No, not the rowing level. That's just a slightly better version of Tubin. Check out this monstrosity. A battle against a T-Rex. Look at that. And also note how Lex refuses to run away from the fucking T-Rex's charge. She's out of her fucking mind. Level 3, and we're going to restore power to the whole island. But instead of eggs, it's switches inside the power building inside the terminals. Again, compies, spitters, and I think I saw an Ankylosaur and a Dimetrodon running around there. Holy shit. First, gather eggs outside to get access. Then, make an omelet, I guess. Because, Jesus, this guy's collecting a lot of eggs out there. Grant is picking up every egg he sees. Anyway, go inside, flip all the switches on, and power on the terminals. No boss dino this time. Just get all the terminals powered on, and then it's to the inside of a volcano. Which happens exactly nowhere in the movie or the books. You know, and they feature volcano shit in all of these games. I'm wondering what the fuck they're talking about. Anyway, you go then to the raptor nests, because apparently Ellen Grant has the same mental problem that Lex has. As I already said, the fourth level is the raptor nests. So you're dodging a magma flow and raptors and destroying nests on the clock. Oh, the nests, it just amounts to, you guessed it, collecting the goddamn eggs again. Jesus, dude could open 50 Waffle Houses with all these eggs. Go inside the building and grab the bombs, because every zoo needs fucking stacks of cartoon dynamite bombs, right? Yeah, right. So, be sure the raptors' nests are well and truly destroyed. You set up the bombs and run like hell out of the caves. By the way, there's no on-screen timer to warn you that you've got limited time to finish collecting eggs and planting bombs. So, be sure that you get everything planted as quickly as you can and getting the hell out of the level. By the way, the level's a frickin' maze, so good luck with that. But once you've done that, we're on to level 5. The raptors have destroyed the radio for the island. Of course they have. Collect eggs, begin a black market egg warehousing business, or whatever the fuck Grant's doing with these things, and find yourself in another stampede of trikes. Good lord. You finally get to the control room after the boat itself tries to electrocute your ass, and it's on to level 6. Get to the chopper. Or is it, got to the chopper? I think I pronounced that right. It's a very strange word. I think it's Austrian. I'll leave this level as a surprise. But this leaves the question.
So, does this game have a license to play? You know, graphics, sound, gameplay, all of it? Absolutely. This game is actually pretty great. And it does the things that it does really well. It doesn't try to do too much. So, I mean, Jurassic Park on the NES, license to play. Clever girl.
Welcome to Jurassic Park. We used old fossilized mosquito guts and blood to create dinosaur-shaped monsters. We hope your children and families don't mind being devoured by the monsters I've created and fought it out using science, money, and more guts than common sense. The screams will only be drowned out by the horrifying roars of the monster creatures I've practiced eugenics on and denied lysine, because I think it's funny. But for now, enjoy the majesty and commercial profitability of Jurassic Park.
The SNES version of Jurassic Park is the very model of a Mode 7 modern meddling wonder. Your job is to find eggs. Oh, god damn it. Then gain entry to the buildings and move through Jurassic Park. But this time, there are no hints from the comms towers. You're getting hints from everyone in the movie as you find their cards on the ground, I guess, because they just fly up in your face. Ah, look at this. Oh, over there, somebody put a toilet and you need to use it. Oh, watch out for that. And also, don't forget to collect all the eggs. This game is definitely from the same stock as the NES version, but it's kind of different. And let me tell you, every review or playthrough of this game, people talk about the 3D sections in it, but they never mention the most odd part, that the game is SNES mouse compatible. You're playing Alan Grant again, but basically, honestly, you're really playing as Muldoon, because you murk like everything in your path. I know you have bolos and gas grenades, but you've also got like this, well, the taser, which looks like it's murdering everything, and an explosive that just blows everyone up and they just pass out. So it's like, yeah, it's insane. The game itself is one massive map that you travel across, but there's 6 tasks that correspond to the NES version. First, activate the motion sensors. 2, secure the visitor center. 3, stop the escaping raptors who have somehow gotten onto a ship and are controlling its galley and crew and are able to use the radio, and they're hijacking it. It's ridiculous. These raptors are treated as like actual terrorists on this one. So you destroy their nests, radio for help, and then get to the chopper. Once more, get to the chopper. Do it, Velociraptor. Kill me. What are you waiting for? Anyway, we don't have much to go into here as far as the game, because it's a souped up and more complex, and dare I say, lesser version of the NES game. The graphics convinced me my Retron 5 was broken because of how squished Grant looks here. Then I'll use my SNES to play it again, and it's like, oh no, that's just the way this game looks. This game definitely has flash and sizzle. The 3D levels, the Mode 7, but no steak. The gameplay is so repetitive and linear, and while a big open world seems enticing, or at least, wow, what an innovative concept for an SNES game, the gameplay makes everything seem dull. And at the halfway point, there's no Triceratops stampedes or anything. I mean, there's a stampede of smaller dinosaurs, but it's like, considering, the NES game does a T-Rex and Triceratops, and it's just, it just seems more fun overall. It's like, and it's shocking too, because considering the Lion King game manages that water buffalo stampede very well on the same exact hardware. And another thing, no saving method, no passwords. Beat the game or beat it, kid. Come back when you got some hair on your jennies. It's like, you need to grow up and learn how to play this game in an hour. It takes about an hour to beat it, and there's nothing to the ending, dude. You see the ending at the very beginning of the game, so there you have it. The ending is literally that stupid Jurassic Park Mode 7 logo. It's like they didn't know how to use the Mode 7 stuff on SNES. They just added it to add it. So it's a huge disappointment. So, the question remains.
So, Jurassic Park, Super Nintendo, doesn't have a license to play. I'm a Nintendo guy. I love Nintendo, but sadly, no. Game's too difficult to get into. About halfway through, 30 minutes into this game, takes about an hour to complete it. It's all one map, so that's great, but man, 30 minutes into this one, you'll wish you never started playing it. Plus, you get all these interrupting messages. It's not for me. So, Jurassic Park on Super Nintendo. Clever girl.
Okay, it's 1993. And in 1993, we were in the midst of what folks called the console wars. 8-bit versus 16-bit. Genesis versus NES, then SNES versus Genesis versus TurboGrafx, and meanwhile, Microsoft and Sony are waiting to see how everything is going to play out. It was a heady time, where game companies and developers fought for an audience, and the competition meant that they were putting everything into each game they put out. Yeah, there were vile pieces of trash out there, and I've got a couple of them on my list to review, but the first-party stuff, they weren't just farting out titles to fart out a title. They were firing volleys in a war for the hearts and minds of the kids and teens of America and the UK. Sega's Jurassic Park video game was developed in step with the movie. Sega, in the console wars, did so much to try and innovate, they were the belle of the licensing ball. If you had a movie that was high-tech, you wanted the Genesis version to represent the movie, especially if it had action and if it was appealing to teens, young male teens especially. So, at the time, the Genesis was a known entity in gaming. Not only that, Steven Spielberg and Dykstra and ILM knew that Michael Jackson made a game with them, Moonwalker. So it seems like, Universal and Steven Spielberg threw their support behind the Jurassic Park game on Genesis more than the Ocean version, giving them puppets to scan, and Sega threw cash at Blue Sky like it was crazy because they wanted them to make every game for them. They made a ton of great Sega titles. And what came out was Jurassic Park. Sort of. The game is broken into 2 actual full-length games, one where you play as Alan Grant and one as the Raptor. Folks, this particular battle between Sega and Nintendo should have been no contest. Jurassic Park is the place where SNES just got its ass handed to them. This battle should have been considered no contest. Now, we'll talk about the game's ups and downs, but if we're putting up Jurassic Park against Jurassic Park Genesis versus SNES, Genesis definitely does what Nintendo don't. And it pains my heart to say it. Let's start with the media campaign. Nintendo seemingly let Ocean's press team come up with what looks like someone asset flipped a piece of the movie's press kit and just added some screenshots and Nintendo logos. This ad leans so hard on the license itself, you could tell where Ocean was coming from. That's how Ocean basically handled everything. Their history of buying licenses and leaning on the license with a competent but not super innovative game structure shows in the ads and in the differences between the SNES and the 3D slapped-on SNES version. They weren't in the innovation business. They were in the licensed gaming business, and the license was what's going to propel these games further than any kind of innovation or massive gameplay design issues that they would make up in the game. I think this is partially why the Bitmap brothers left them. Now, here's the Sega ad. A 2-page monster poster. It folds out. The screenshots are definitely bull shots, using smoothing and photo manipulation a little bit, but the game does look a lot like the poster's glamour shots of the game in action. On the cover of the EGM that it's being reviewed in, you'll notice Mortal Kombat. The era of live scans of folks starring in games was in full swing, and let me tell you, Jurassic Park did that actually really well too. But viewers, here's the rub. That DPA shit at the bottom, dynamic play adjustment, is bullshit in the Alan Grant mode. It's almost bullshit in the Velociraptor mode. But let's talk about the game as Alan Grant. You begin shortly after one of the top moments of the movie, the T-Rex attack. The game does pretty well in redoing that moment, except it uses a Jeep instead of one of the visitor vehicles. Anyway, that's not a big deal, but I'm a huge fan of the movie, so nits I shall pick. Alan Grant is now needing to escape Jurassic Park after the T-Rex attack. So, again, another Elseworlds tale, but this time Alan is more like Alan in Part 3. Screw these people, screw them kids, screw this place, I'm the fuck out. Peace, out, I'm out. Nope, I'm out. But what about our kid? No. No, lady from Bad Boys and not Bad Boys 2. No. But what about our kid? I'm telling you, Shoveler, no. Your kid is dead. Or if he's not dead, he will soon be dead. He is Dino Snacks. So will we. Wait, look. See that dude from Fisher King? He just got et by a damn dinosaur. Look at that guy in the... Oh, yeah. You guys are incompetent assholes. I'm out. We're out. Let's go. We're out. And so he leaves. And that's this game. Top to bottom. The whole game is get the hell out of Jurassic Park. But the cool thing is the timer for each level is a raptor that's chasing you, which shows a little bit of ingenuity on the designer's part, because the movie has primed you. Anyone playing this game as Alan Grant the human knows that when you hear that screech of the raptors are going to be the alpha enemy of the game, and they are dangerous. I mean, they're just graphics on the screen, and it's not really true, but you do get that little feeling of, oh no, the raptors. Graphics and sound for the Genesis on this game are above the basic level. Perhaps the next level? Sorry. Dad jokes are my bread and butter pickles, baby. But seriously, Sega spent the money on the Genesis version, and it impacted another title that I'll be going into later, but I'll save that for another review. And they delivered a great-looking, side-scrolling action title. The title is designed by Doug Tennapel. Yeah, that guy. He's another problematic weirdo these days politically, what with all his hate speech and everything. But the guy created Earthworm Jim. But you can actually see there's a lot of the old Earthworm in a spacesuit's DNA in Jurassic Park. The leaps of faith, the sliding, jumping up to slide down off of platforms. I'm sure what cripples this game's action has a lot to do with the war between Sega of Japan and Sega of America at the time. That story is outlined in the book Console Wars, and there's a documentary about it. Check it out. But basically, the final say over software was Japan. And they're trying to get Tim Kalinske out of the driver's seat in the U.S. because his success was a little bit insulting. He came in there and told them, I know how to do this in America, and let me have free reign. They did, but did so, angrily. And then when he was successful, they were expecting him to fail. They even had America, the Sega of America, change the look of Sonic the Hedgehog. Like, he looked one way in Japan, and then when he got here, they reduced his nose size. They rounded off the edges. They did a lot of stuff to de-anime Sonic, and that was, it was a grudge. So Japan would drag their feet, ambush the U.S. branch with surprise announcements of new tech, hell, new consoles, and it began right after the launch of the Sonic Sega Genesis. And you can see that Jurassic Park had good bones, but what's hanging off of it is a game fighting with itself. Even as the Raptor, the game relies on arcade quarter-munching repetition and memorization, an old-fashioned mechanic that screams Sega of Japan and not innovation. Anyway, that's the long and stanky of it for this game, but we gotta ask.
So, before we continue with this, I just wanted to give a shout out and a mention for Jurassic Park on the Master System. It was released in the UK and in, I believe it was Brazil. It's a great game for the Game Gear as well, so if you have it in America, you probably played it on Game Gear. Not a bad little side-scroller. It has a license to play, definitely, but what we're talking about is this guy. Jurassic Park on the Sega Genesis. Look, unfair enemy placement. Difficulty in both modes. Leaps of faith. I mean, the music and the sound, mwah, chef kiss, amazing. But, game itself, nah. No license to play for you. It's been revoked, son. And plus, compared to the things that we're going to be playing later on, absolutely no way. And it... Clever girl?
That brings us to Jurassic Park, Rampage Edition. So, if you played Jurassic Park on the Genesis, but didn't want to play Rampage Edition because of that game, well, get this, folks. This is like a same-day sequel. The game begins with either Grant or the Velociraptor still on the island, and Grant's there to prevent people from sneaking dinos off the island. He notices them as he's leaving, so he comes back. Yeah, right. But anyway, he does that, and the Raptor's there to sneak aboard a ship and make it to the mainland, and I don't know, start an underground collective of Velociraptor terrorists, and I don't know, Viva la, Fraternité for the Raptors or some shit. But the game is so similar to the first game in terms of feel that I can only say there's a graphical mini facelift and the mechanical tweaks that make it a little bit better to play. The game looks and plays great and isn't the slog its predecessor is. Check out the T-Rex encounter in Rampage Edition. You see that? The water effects, the T-Rex, just incredible. And the fantastic thing is that all the games here, with the exception of Jurassic Park on NES, I picked up for less than $30 online total. And Rampage Edition is definitely worth the price I paid for it. Complete in box for $20 on eBay. But given all that, I mean, looking at this pretty game and seeing that basically it's the last game, but with some like tweaks and a couple new different levels and such, does it have a license to play?
So, Jurassic Park, Rampage Edition. Does it have a license to play? You know what? Absolutely. But bear in mind, I'm basing that on also have played the Jurassic Park regular edition. And this being kind of a sequel, I mean, it's not really Jurassic Park 2, but it is a great game. And, I mean, if you want your Jurassic Park fix, playing as a Velociraptor and Alan Grant, this is the game you want to get. Jurassic Park Rampage Edition. I mean, yeah, just top of the pops for me. And try it out. You might like it. In fact, all the games that I have here cost me less than $30. It's a cheap game to find online. You can find them dirt cheap at your local gaming store, I imagine. Now, Margot, any word on where the hell we are?
Commander, when I went into my calculations and downtime, did you install more antennae to the retro station?
We sure did, ma'am.
Well, Cambot Jr., you managed to tie the external camera system to the internal television networks.
I did? Oh no.
Yes, I have made corrections, and we are still currently orbiting Earth. And Cambot Jr.,
Yes, ma'am?
have you ever seen the Earth?
No, ma'am. Why?
Please get yourself an astronomy module and include this solar system.
Oh, affirmative, ma'am.
You mean to tell me we were watching television that whole time?
That's correct.
Well, at least Splat's less disgusting anyway.
Hooray.
You know, where is that little spud? I was sure to have seen him by now.
I'ma kiss you.
No. Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to my show. All my space pirates out there, thank you very much for being so very patient with me. I know I haven't streamed in a while. There's going to be a stream coming up. I'm still kind of deciding what we're going to do for the month of July. I haven't decided yet. But I think what I'm going to do is going to be maybe some Lego games. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. Trust me, I'll make that decision before like next week, which will be the second week of July of 2021, in case you want to date this program. So please, everybody, if you liked what you saw, give me a thumbs up. Let me know that you liked all the stuff. I put a lot of work into this episode. As you can tell, it's very long, and I'm trying not to keep this ending very long either. But thanks, everybody, for watching. If you made it all the way through, give me a like. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. I don't care if you ring the bell or whatever, but I need subscribers. I'm not begging for subscribers, but I would like you to subscribe so you know when my shows are coming up, man. I create entertainment for you, and I hope these things are entertaining. Props are not free. Puppets ain't free. None of my shit's free. But I will say that I appreciate everybody who does watch the show, all 10 of you. Oh, and on last week's staff picks, I did put a 2-question kind of thing out there. So anybody who has an answer for those questions, it's about halfway through the video, you'll get a no prize from me, which is me sending you something cool. So that's going to do it. Oh, like, subscribe, share. Yeah, share the video too if you think it's funny enough for people to see. I think there's probably one scene here that was enough for me to laugh about when I was even editing it. So thanks again, everybody. And remember, more than anything else that I said in this video and anywhere else on the planet Earth, remember to always, always stay retro. Peace.
You're a salt adult. You're a salt adult. Get upset on the internet. You're a salt adult. Throwing out a hissy fit, your views ain't in the millions, and every up and comer is a threat to what you're dealing. And instead of getting better, you just spout up on your Facebook, crying on your Twitter bit about how bad your case look. In case you didn't get it yet, allow me to rephrase it. You're cry more than my 4-year-old. I'm actually amazed, like you couldn't even see the forest for the trees. The writing's on the wall, literally there to see. How you getting salt that a culture blowing up, man? I think there was a point where you stopped growing up, man. Instead of showing up, man, irrationally mad. Don't appropriate impression like the latest fashion fad. It isn't cool or funny to be acting like an edgelord. You alienate friends, pushing closer to the edge more. I don't know how to say it anyway to make it clear. If you're the one unhappy, then the problem's in the mirror. Get upset on the internet. You're a salt adult. You're a salt adult. Get upset on the internet. You're a salt adult. The net is a repository for the vast expanses of human knowledge and all the technological advances, and I can't say enough how you gotta be open-minded. If you're looking for a fight, then you damn well find it. An axe needs grinding, you're not alone. There's a million other nerds who can bitch and moan and groan about how there's a release date delay of the new game. Man, decrease the cliche of your neckbeard. I'm a fear to the intensity of your love for 2 characters. You claim I've got some chemistry and they belong together. Every other ship is toast. Call you Cortez when you're like, burn the balls. Said your ship is sunk and you stunk like the blogger who insisted to you. The review versus Harry Potter versus Julia Roberts. The latter's the victor. You're about to make a victim of some asshole hipster. Get upset on the internet. You're a salt adult. You're a salt adult. Get upset on the internet. You're a salt adult. S-A-L-T. You look stupid. A real ass. When they heard your rant, the people laugh. But please stop. For abort. You're whining like you want to win some award. S-A-L-T. You're a salt adult. 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 You're a salt adult.